Now, you might recall a month ago, the ABC's Four Corners ran a documentary accusing the AFL of being homophobic because there are no openly gay male players.
If you want to be a part of that game, you have to hide yourself.
He came to me and said, I've got this situation.
Code of silence.
Do you think the AFL is a world leader in tackling homophobia?
No, I think it's clear that we're not.
They've known for a long time. Their own research have told them.
The AFL's last taboo.
I was disgusted, I was embarrassed, and I was hurt.
It's absolutely a human rights issue that no one's openly gay within the AFL.
Oh, code of silence, it's a human rights issue. Because, of course, when you think of human rights abuses, you think of Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia and, of course, the AFL. Now, I and many others at the time identified that this supposed expose was ridiculous. It's no business of you or I whether any sportsman, be they in the AFL or cricket or rugby league or whatever, is gay. If they are, big deal. But it's their story to tell if they want to. We can't force anyone to come out and trumpet to the world that they're gay, and nor should we. But of course, if you live in the world of victimhood and identity politics, then it's hard to understand why anyone would rather define themselves by a successful football career than the fact they were born liking men, which would, by the laws of identity politics, make them a victim. I wrote at the time that the idea the AFL was homophobic was patently ridiculous because even better than having openly gay players, the AFL has an openly transgender veteran in Danielle Laidley. Danny Laidley, then Dean Laidley, of course, played 151 games at West Coast and North Melbourne and later coached 149 games at the Kangas for 72 wins. And Laidley blew the whole thing up this week by also saying the Four Corners report was nonsense. Launching a documentary during the week about transitioning, Laidley described being livid at the ABC, quote unquote, absolutely not the case, Laidley said about the AFL being homophobic. And in Gill's words, Gill being Gillan McLachlan, the outgoing CEO of the AFL, yeah, there may be gay players, teammates know and family and friends know, but that's all that's important. When you live in fear, shame and embarrassment because of what people think of you or might say, for want of a better word, when it all turns to shit, they were the first people there. The AFL, North Melbourne, Anthony Stevens, Mark Brayshaw, Darren Crocker, my son Kane, I can't put it into words. I am so grateful of how they've accepted me. Through my journey, I perhaps always thought maybe one day football would kill me, Danny said, but invariably it saved my life, no question. Case closed. The one person who should know better than anyone else whether the AFL is homophobic or transphobic or bigoted or whatever other slur you want to throw at it, said no, this isn't the sport I know. Football saved my life. Now, the reporter of this Four Corners episode was Louise Milligan. Now, Miss Milligan is perhaps best known for costing taxpayers $200,000 for defaming former Liberal MP Andrew Laming. What do you have to say, Louise? Your report has been exposed as wrong. Will you issue an apology to the AFL for smearing it, and by extension its millions of supporters, as homophobic? Will you apologise to Danny Laidley, who was offended by your bogus betrayal of the AFL that was so far removed from the lived experience of a transgender woman in the game that it was laughable? I certainly won't hold my breath. Ms Milligan herself acknowledged that there are gay players in the game who don't hide it from their teammates. She wrote on the ABC's website, almost every insider I speak to says clubs are now very nurturing places, that there are players who are out to their teammates, that welfare is the top priority, and no one should be coaxing them out of the closet. Quite right. And if they feel comfortable being open with their teammates, then how can you say with a straight face that the game has an anti-gay culture? Brisbane great Jason Ackermanis has previously said he played with a gay man who was open to his teammates in the mid-90s. Again, it's none of our business. If people don't want to be defined by their sexuality, they shouldn't have to be. And the reality is that if you did come out as the first gay player in the AFL, everyone would want to turn you into the poster child, and you wouldn't have a lot of say in that. Even if you wanted to say, OK, I'm gay, move on, others would want to make a big deal of it and portray you as some kind of hero and want you to tell your story, and on it would go. It'd be a runaway train. And that's not the fault of the supposedly homophobic AFL. It's the fault of the LGBTQ activists who won't shut up about it. If you just want to get on with the business of winning games and making your club's members happy, that's a pain in the jacksie. I mean, the AFL is a left-leaning organisation that endorses all manner of progressive social causes, including the voice to Parliament, and yet we're meant to believe that it's some sort of haven of hate for gay people. Being gay is one of the least controversial identifiers these days. We don't need identity politics injected into the game. Those within it clearly agree. Danielle Laidley says the AFL couldn't be more accepting. But for the identity brigade, nothing will be good enough until every gay man has been outed against his will.